welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stu Booth.
I'm Jack Luffman.
How are we today, Jack?
I'm alright, thanks, Stu. You're knackered, aren't you?
It seems to be that's like our opening line every week. Stu, how tired are you?
But
we should just get a gaugeometer to say how tired. I'm like, I broke it.
But you reckon it's because you said you played football last night, you watched the Liverpool game, which obviously did finish at 1 o'clock, but I know the real reason why you're knackered. Standard deviation.
Oh my goodness.
Standard deviation.
Standard deviation, T-tests, Bell theory curves and error bars has just been like the bane of my life for the last 3 weeks.
So many of you will be thinking, well, hang on a minute, you're a sports teacher, not a maths teacher, but a bit of international baccalaureate diploma programme, sports science and exercise.
Yeah, which makes you laugh is that I'm teaching this and I've barely got a C at GCSE in maths.
You said to me in your office when you were doing it, I've not got a C in maths even barely, and I'm doing this.
Just scraped the C and then I'm delivering this. Yeah.
But you did beat the head of maths, did you not?
I did pick up on something that head of maths missed out, and so I'm now officially head of maths. I'm qualified to teach everything. So if there's anybody out there that just wants a super teacher, don't give me a call. I'm not available. I'm just going to be sleeping.
Yeah, be honest, fast asleep on the thing. And of course, it's Daddy daycare weekend, isn't it, for you as well?
Yeah, wife is out. So while the wife is out, I'm going to do what every good father does at this point in time: go to sleep.
Sleep, McDonald's for tea, jobs with them.
Yeah, pizza up maybe.
Yeah.
Just a very
bit of standard deviation.
Standard deviation is about the mean. It's about the data around the mean, Jack. It's not about changing.
You think cricket's boring?
I'll tell you what, I could standard deviate your cricket if you want. See how consistent you are. Right, okay, we are going to be talking this week. Premier League, Champions League has been on this week. England and the dubious cancelled test, which Jack would like to talk about. Tennis champion Emma has only gone and done it.
She never did.
She just did.
Unbelievable.
Talking point this week is Sancho. Jack wants to have a discussion about how good Sancho. I was getting confused calling Jordan anyway, but Sancho is. And then we'll be finishing off with fantasy football. Before you've got a chance to check who won, the person who's already been in contact with me, let me know.
Of course, loves a free, doesn't he?
He's a proper Roy Keane. Right, so we'll start off with our sporting week. So last week you told us about how you opening game for the Wanderers. I think they called you Exiles then.
Don't swear at me.
And then this week that's a fair without you. And how did they get on?
Did very well. So last Friday morning, same club, slightly different team they played, but another win. In what even last night we trained last night, and some of the guys I hadn't seen reiterated that horrific conditions, humidity, which has been really high all week actually, to be fair, hasn't it? But that was really bad. To the point where one of the umpires actually fainted, had to go off the pitch.
Wow.
So it was that bad. So I think they did really well. They got 180 odd, and then bowled them out for 100 again. So going well.
So this week was what, a step up in regards to teams? So last week it was under 11s, you played under 12s this week?
Yeah, 12-8.
Yeah.
No. So we've done no more than, I think in all honesty, when you looked at the two sides in the two games on paper, we'd expect to beat them. But we're obviously very, very new club. Takes a bit of time to gel, and things are going well. Things are really buzzing on the WhatsApp group. Training was good last night, so all things going well. Me and Dave went to the launch, DSL launch.
This is what I want to talk about. So the DSL launch, I've seen a copy of the kit. SJ, the logo appears on the kit, but more importantly, there's a release of fixtures, wasn't there?
There was, yeah.
So what is the day that everybody needs to put in their diary?
October the 30th, my friend.
October the 30th. So if you have got nothing on October the 30th, you need to get yourself down, because it will be the Wanderers versus the Exiles, and what can only be called a heated grudge match, where there's likely to be finger pointing, wagging, and the occasional nodding of the head.
They'll be okay. And actually, it's the last of the group games, so that hopefully there's something on it in terms of...
How good would that be? Winner takes all, loser gets nothing, winner goes through.
It'd be very good, wouldn't it? But we'll see. But we start this week anyway.
Please don't get a duck against Exiles. That'd be a disaster.
Yeah. You're building it already.
I'm already in his head. He's like, I won't start this.
Yeah, don't start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone now. So we start Friday.
Excellent.
Valley
Boys, opening game of the competition.
Sevens.
Don't know much about them?
No, nothing.
Another new team?
I don't think they're from Wales.
No.
Well,
It's a fair trek though, isn't it?
Yeah, fair away fixture that. We don't know anything about it. We've got happy with Dave had to pick to actually have the selection committee. I'm not on that. Actually had a couple of decisions to make, so they've picked 12. I think the young lad Zane sort of missed out this week, but he's coming down anyway because it's still hot. We might need him in the field and to run drinks and stuff on. But that again is testament to what we're doing because he's more than happy to come down. So.
Well, I believe he played well last week as well.
Yeah, he did well. He got nice innings and he bowls alright. So, but with a couple of senior players back, I think he's the right call. But he will definitely get his opportunity. But yeah, so 2 o'clock tomorrow, so 2 o'clock Friday. So what's that? 11 o'clock English time when you're listening to this back home. Yeah. So there we go. Looking forward to it. Bit nervous actually. Well, looking forward to it.
Oh well, if that's the case, then Bella's got a party too. So I'll just drop her off just before and they can get up there.
Could have a look.
Me and Larks have decided that when it comes to the XLs and the Wanderers game, we were about making a banner. So Larkin was going to get there with a big flag, waving the Wanderers flag as you come out, and I was going to get a couple of fire sticks, what are they called? Oh, flares. Pump off some flares.
Not the ultras, the Wanderers ultras.
Yeah, we're going to be all over it. We're throwing stuff at people and everything.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
I was going to say I was like, no, well, I might actually just throw something, but it might be a jack.
Yeah, I think just any with it. Yeah. But yes, that starts fine. So all good. Got the new, new shirts, new caps, kindly sponsored by Be Your Best Self, our friend Mr. Walker.
Yeah. I tell you what, I had a little look at the kit. It wasn't as bad as we initially first thought.
No, it's not too bad.
It's a nice little Arsenal red on there. If anybody wants to know.
They still think it's pink. It's not our pink. But hey, it's part of the thing. We've got it now. So the badge, what looks good, the badge looks really good on it, and the sponsors on the back look really good. Yeah. Of course, of which SJ is one of them. There we go. What about you? You played last night, didn't you?
Yes.
Proper friendly.
Yeah. So this week they had an internal game. I didn't play that because I wanted to watch Liverpool Leeds, but I did train with another team on the Monday night. Took the big lad down. He had a great game actually. It was really well playing against adults, and then last night we had a game against Bears' first team. So we normally play Bears vets in our division, but we played the first team actually in the second division of the Dubai Amateur League. So not a bad standard team.
Yeah.
1-4-1.
Good effort, notch.
Yeah, it's like the bizarrest game. Although the best way to explain it is the first half I played up front, and we're trying this new system out where we are literally just keeping the ball and dragging teams all over the place, but I find it very frustrating because I want to come and get the ball, I want to get feet on the ball, get some touches and try and build attacks. But they want us to build across and eventually find gaps. So I tell you, my first touch was in the 7th minute, which is a back post tapping. That was my first touch of the ball, 7 minutes in.
So a good striker, that.
I was so mad though. And then I think we were 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and yeah, I had a hand in it because I had a bad touch. And then we went 2-0 up. Gary scored a great goal. And then 2-1, and then I got a free kick on the 40th minute. So I've lined it up. I've got the wall in position. If anybody wants to watch this, it's actually on our YouTube channel.
I was waiting for this.
So the video is on there, but not the goal, the video. You'd have to go through to about 40th minute. Got the wall lined up, and I'm looking, I'm like, he's left me a decent gap on across him. So I'm going over and across. I'm like, yeah, I can get this. So I'm aiming towards, I try and aim between the first man on the wall and the second man on the wall, so then I've got enough movement to get enough pace. Anyways, I've hit it, the lad that's in the first person on the wall has jumped up and he's clocked him on the arm. He's only gone spanning onto the far top corner. He's literally just, keeper's gone, oh no. I've just celebrated.
Are you claiming it?
I'm like running off, I'm like, yeah. I didn't realise I just was like that. Because initially, as it hit the guy, I screamed for a penalty.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's jumped for the camera.
In an unnatural position.
His arm was up here, so if you see it, you'll have a look and you'll be like, it was a penalty, but referee just let it go for that few seconds and it ended up going in. And then second half, he said, do you mind playing centre-back? Played centre-back. I've never touched the ball so much in my life, but the good thing was, Scott, because we want to play from the back, it's you just get so much ball. So.
Do you reckon you end up playing there in the season?
Well, I've prompted and pushed to try and get back in that position, but he doesn't. He thinks that there's potentially too many goals to miss out on the team. So I think if we were ever short, then he knows that that's an option. Or if we're winning a game and you want to shore up or something, then I might get dropped back in there. But it felt good to be at the back last night, and I quite enjoyed it. Apart from, I love Scratch.
He's absolutely been battered, look.
Yeah, the centre forward didn't like the fact that he couldn't get around me.
That's nasty.
Said Scratch me. I turned around to him. I was like, "Do you not cut your fingernails, mate?" And he's like, "Cut your fingernails." And he's like, "What on earth's that?" I was like, "Cut them." I'm looking to stay on my neck. And it made it worse. It was like a sweat fest last night. It was disgusting.
Yeah, we trained all.
So then every time a bit of sweat just dripped down that, and he went in the cut, and you're like, "It's stinky."
It was like I was training under the lid, just like so hot, minging.
It felt a bit better second half, but yeah, good result. So next week roll on. I've got potential game for the EFA team, which is it's a bit of a hot debate.
Sporting Jibberish Nation.
Supposedly Sporting Jibberish Nation, but on the league it's still saying Dot Mania.
Get it sorted. So I'll have a word with him.
We'll see what happens there, and then there's another game for Vets, All Stars Vets, and I believe we're going to play the Irish, one of the Irish, age teams. So I think we're going to look at their C team, their first A and B team are actually in the top division. So the C team is probably a Division 2.
Good running for fitness wise, if they're a bit younger than that.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the strange thing is if anyone has a look at the footage, is last night we just absolutely just kept the ball and just kept going from left to right, and then if it wasn't on, kept going in, which I felt if I'd played up front the second half, I would have had more ball because we pulled them about so much.
But that's because you were at the back, Stu.
Possibly. I did ping a nice little 30-yarder to Warby to set up the fourth goal. But yeah, enough about me, enough about Sport.
That was funny this match, talking to Warby, arriving on his bike with his little Jack. I couldn't tell the difference between the two of them.
I think Jack's bike's bigger.
Yeah, I think it is.
But yeah. Right, anyway, we're going to move swiftly on and not get stuck on Warby's height because he gets a bit sensitive about it.
Stand up.
Yeah, we'll start with Champions League. Interesting couple of days of Champions League, some shock results, some awesome games as well, some really entertaining games. Like we mentioned before, it's a Liverpool game last night against Milan, which was a strange one because Liverpool could have been 3 or 4 up at half time and found themselves 2-1 down in a freak 3 or 4 minute spell. Ended up winning 3-2, and it was a really, really good game. All accounts, the Man City game was equally as entertaining.
Good to see Grealish dominate that game from the reports. And I have seen his goal, good goal. I think I just said before we come along, I'm pleased to see that Pep's actually playing him.
Yeah.
Because he seems to be his go-to man. Because I was a bit concerned, because we've seen it with other people before, where it seems like he spent 100 million, he's the man, almost like replacing David Silva almost, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I'm pleased for that. I'm pleased for Grealish because I think he can play.
Well, it's interesting that for fantasy football people. So if he's going to give him lots of game time. Man City won 6-3. Interesting also within that group, Club Bruges won, Paris Saint-Germain won. Messi's first start for Paris Saint-Germain hit the crossbar. So they had Mbappe on, Messi on, Neymar on, and the first goal scorer, ex-United player.
Silva?
No,
the other one.
Herrera. So could you imagine the amount of people that would have lost money on having one of them 3 up front? But good set of results. I think the other one that really stands out, I expected this to happen, was Bayern Munich destroying Barcelona at 3-0.
I saw the stat about that Barcelona, for the first time ever in a Champions League game, first time a shot on target.
Wowzers, but it just shows how far they've fallen.
And obviously, Man United lost. I watched it because it was an earlier kick-off. I watched the first half of that. Poor. I mean, they're playing on like a 3G pitch, aren't they? Which, I mean, you'll know better than me. And I know there are good services, particularly for teaching kids the idea, but I'm not quite sure that. I'm not using this as an excuse for Man United. I can't stand Man United, but it doesn't seem right when you watch them play. It doesn't seem right for the pros to be on it.
Yeah, the difference is obviously the balance is massively different, and then if you're trying to make a connection with the ball, if it's a slightly slower AshTurf, it's obviously putting power through it. But I'm not going to make excuses for them. They would have been on the pitch training the night before, and they would have been on the pitch before the game just to get used to the way to passes. But I said it once, I'll say it again. Ollie can't get them up for big game. I can't get them up for the little game.
Interesting. So you see the stat. great. I mean, it was a great ball from Fernandes to Ronaldo for the goal and a good finish. And the keeper's a bit unlucky, I think. And you just thought that they'd control it. But I didn't watch the whole game. But obviously, there's some questions over his substitutions and things like that, weren't there? But the interesting stat that I came about with, which backs up what you just said, and you know that I still don't think they win anything decent unless they get a manager in charge, is that in 11 Champions League games under Solskjaer, they've lost 7.
But yeah, interesting substitute way. Obviously, you mentioned that before, but Ronaldo comes off and Lingard comes on and sets up the winner.
Yeah.
So well done.
Interesting. But of course, the big European fixtures are tonight.
Is it conference night?
Oh yes. Spurs away at Rennes. Can't wait.
That's like
staying up. Should we go and watch it?
That's almost exciting. Brighton versus Burnley.
Should we go watch it?
You know what? Let's get on it.
Yes. No, I can't.
No, it's got a big game tomorrow. Right. Okay. We'll have a
can't. Clint sent us all what we need to be eating and drinking for the game because it's.
This has stepped up a notch.
Clint's in the business, so I can't bet on the sauce.
Okay. Right.
Only on the cookie.
We won't tell anybody, but we won't out. It's alright, nobody listens to the podcast anyway.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
The only person listening is Chelsea Kings on YouTube, so I
Chelsea King.
I have no idea.
I think my mum and dad watch it regularly just to see our faces.
I am. I Shrek. Looking good. Right, okay, we'll have a quick look at last week's results. Because the interesting one was Crystal Palace 3, Spurs 0.
I'm so pleased my wife didn't let me watch this.
So yeah, his wife refused to let him watch the football because it was a birthday. So Jack's ball patch slightly got a little bit bigger after last weekend, which was a good miss, to be fair. Arsenal 1, Norwich 0, much needed 3 points. Yeah. I think the performance was a lot better, but I think the scoreline potentially doesn't reflect the performance, but I think they probably would have wanted to make a bit more of a statement there. A surprise, Brentford 0, Brighton 1. We did think that was going to be a close one, but Brentford at home, we'd expect them to be. That would have been one that would have eyeballed and gone 3 points, worst case 1 point.
Yeah, certainly and the start of the season, didn't he? Brighton have had a great start, though, to be fair to them.
Yeah, well, he plays some nice football.
He'll get a big job, won't he?
No, because he's English.
Talking point.
Yeah, they don't trust English coaches. Then you've got Leicester 0, Man City 1. I didn't know anything about the game. I did predict that though.
Interesting thing about City that they've ground that out, haven't they, a little bit, which they probably wouldn't have done maybe last year. They struggled a bit, and I did read last night. I know it's Champions League, but Nathan Ake scored the first goal last night.
Yes, header, wasn't it?
Yeah, apparently a very good header. But that was the 10th Man City player to score this season in all competitions. So the argument is, do they need a striker? Do they need Kane? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I think when push comes to shove, and it starts getting later on when the games they get a little bit tighter, and
you need a poacher. You need a person you guarantee is going to finish a game.
You need somebody who's going to score 20, 30 goals. But United 4, Newcastle 1. The return of Ronaldo. Newcastle's goalkeeper is an absolute stinker. First one, there is a minor deflection off the guy's shin, but it moves the ball millimetres, and he's ended up palming it back across goal. So he's kind of gone, and it's hit the heel of his palm, and then gone right across goal. Ronaldo to go, thank you very much. And then the second one was through the legs, nice little nutmeg. Again, goalie's not covered himself in any glory, but the third and fourth goals were decent. Fernandez's goal was a good hit. I think a top goalkeeper might have maybe got a hand to that and maybe potentially
I'm not
saved
seeing it.
He kind of hits it and drifts off.
Who was in goal? Is it the Woodman?
Yeah.
Freddie Woodman. So he's the third choice, isn't it? Because they've got the Blovnik,
and then they can't work out who they want.
And Darlow, but he's been one of them will be injured. One was that COVID, I think.
Yeah. So he's not coming himself in the glory. I think a top 5 goal. I'd be thinking Alisson and Edison will be making that save.
Yeah.
Lloris would have just flapped at it and let it go in. And then the fourth goal for
Joe Hart would have saved it.
Yeah.
Captain of Celtic notice now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Hashtag. The fourth one was a really good team goal. Lovely interplay from United. Pogba leading the way on that one. I think United, if the goalie's not thrown them in, the two that Ronaldo's hit, would have been interesting because Newcastle were a threat in that game. And despite Varane playing, they were a little bit open at times.
Yeah, Man United. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to score so many goals now that they're going to be a threat as much as if Ollie can get them over in the big games.
Yeah, well, you'd argue now is that the Premiership should be the closest year ever because you've got Liverpool are almost back to their fighting best. Chelsea looking absolute force. United you can't rule out because of how much firepower they've got. Yeah. And then you can never rule City out. You're an idiot if you do that.
Yeah.
So,
and you'd argue that those 4 teams, I think, are the best 4 teams in Europe.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, Paris Saint-Germain have got all the glory boys, but they're not really pulling up any trees yet.
Yeah. So if you say in Europe, you're potentially saying the world.
Yeah. Well, I think so in the world. Yeah. Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, but Munich seems to always come stuck against the English.
Because how good is the German league, and that'll come into my little debate a bit later on.
Moving on, Watford 0, Wolves 2.
Good win for Wolves.
Good to get some points on the board for Wolves, but I think Watford again will be a little bit disappointed in that. Maybe picked up points there. Chelsea 3, Villa 0. Lukaku another 2 on the sheet. Doesn't look like anybody can stop him scoring.
He's just a machine, and he's so powerful.
And then the one that I waited for was Leeds 0, Liverpool 3. Overshadowed massively with the horrific injury to Harvey Elliott, but for some points in that game, Liverpool were phenomenal. You know, Leeds couldn't live with them, and it was the same against AC Milan last night. The pressing was back to its best, and I said this a while ago, was not having Fabs in that midfield 3. Liverpool suffer from. All right, he was doing a great job covering the defence, but the impact he has by being in the right place to intercept the ball before it gets to centre forward, or being able to apply the other 2 pressure moving forward, is an absolutely game changer.
Yeah, and it's the thing, isn't it, that the injury to Van Dijk clearly had an impact, but probably not as much as an impact in terms of conceding goals, but more the way Liverpool wanted to play. Yeah. And like I say, with Fab and a fit Henderson in those big games as captain, you know, I always doubt Henderson quality on the ball a little bit, and I know he got the winner last night, which he said was a good shot. I don't think anybody would argue the fact that he's not the most creative, he's not the best on the ball, but you cannot fault the lad for his work, his energy, his leadership. You know. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll touch on the tackle. When I look at it, I don't think it's a red card. He's not coming at a good angle. He's coming at a strange angle, and it's because he's ended up rolling on top of Elliott's ankle, and then the pressure's obviously just popped his ankle. Yeah. So it's never nice to look at, and even more, I felt sick at the time because all I kept thinking was, this is an 18-year-old that's broke into ex-Premier League champions team at 18, showing all his potential. Klopp's showing faith in him to play him against Chelsea, and he's 3 games running, and he's playing well. And they're also warming Henderson up on the side. They're just about to bring him on, so we'll never know if that had been 30 seconds earlier, the ball gone out, Henderson could have been coming on for Harvey Elliott, and it doesn't happen. But yeah, I felt really bad. But what he's done since is like, his status is like, he's turned to Liverpool fans and said, thank you very much for the support. Yeah. Please don't give Pascal any grief. It's just an unfortunate tackle. And then when they've not rescinded the red card, he's come out and supported the Leeds player.
Yeah. He gave his shirt to a fellow fan, didn't he, in the hospital?
He was based in Leeds, so there was a kid next door that had broke his arm. So he gave him a shirt and the boot that not cut up. So yeah, he's come out with absolute flying colours, and I just thought, well, the story is, because I've been reading up on it, is that they reckon he could be back this season.
Yeah, I was about to say it might not be as bad as first feared.
Because I thought initially he'd snapped both the tib, fib, and popped his ankle, but it just turns out he just popped his ankle. I'm saying that like it's not as bad, but it's still.
They do say dislocations are worse than breaks sometimes.
But they're confident that the operation was such a success that we could see him back on the pitch at some point later. Yeah. So yeah, good. And then the last one is Everton. Talking about another team that are doing well. Everton 3, Burnley 1.
3 goals in 7 minutes.
Worry again for Burnley? Are they just going to find themselves adrift?
Yeah, how long can they carry on just holding on and not investing much? I know they've not got much to invest, I understand that, and just continue to play the way that Dyche plays. And he would argue, wouldn't he, that that's the only way to survive. And I get that, but it must be quite difficult being a Burnley fan.
Yeah,
because it's one of those arguments, isn't it, that some of them have, I think, like the West Brom fans, you know, some of those yo-yo clubs.
Yeah.
But actually, we don't mind going down because actually we then get to see some exciting football. We then get to when we see scoring goals, and then we go to the Premiership, and it's a bit tough. You wonder if, as a Burnley fan, would they like a bit of that?
Well, I think the Burnley fans, like you said, it's not really an entertaining style of football to play, is it? They've got a few, like Dwight McNeil's a little bit of a live wire and can create something, but the majority of the time it's just
average football.
It's in, isn't it? And it's more like, what can Wood pick up and can he get on the end of something? It's not ideal, but we'll see what happens.
Pick some fixtures out for this week then for me, Stu. Watching.
Well, Friday night is not a bad game. So you've got Newcastle versus Leeds, which will be an interesting fixture. And then on the Saturday, you'd be thinking Liverpool should win at home to Palace, City at home to Southampton should be points in the bag. I think Everton might be a nice game because Villa are a little bit inconsistent, but I would say squad-wise, I don't think they're that too far apart.
No, definitely. Damari Grace started really well, hasn't he? For Everton.
He's gone old school, hasn't he, Benitez? Old-fashioned quick wingers.
Yeah. Because I still think Townsend can play. I thought that for a while. Very strange that Palace didn't give him a contract, I think.
Yeah, and his goal the other night was supposed to be an absolute
wonder. Yeah, he was. He does that, doesn't he, Townsend?
Well,
you look at his goals down.
That volley against City.
Yeah, and when he was at Spurs, he scored two of the absolute belters.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do it regular enough. You want your wingers to score more, I think.
And then on Sunday, that'll be an interesting game. Moyes versus Solskjaer, West Ham at home to Man United. Let's see. I don't think he'd have any problems getting them up for that game, but West Ham can be a bit of a tricky opposition. And then obviously the game of the day, probably the game of the weekend, is Spurs versus Chelsea.
I'm going to miss it as well. I'm going to miss it.
Why are we going to be?
IPL tickets.
What kind of sad person picks cricket over football? What is wrong with you? I think we might need to part ways at this time.
But yeah, it's a game of the day. Spurs, I think I'm just going to have Spurs aren't, I think we said, you can't doubt 3-0, 1-0, wins or whatever it was, but I was never getting carried away like some people.
Yeah.
So actually, the defeat, the third goal was in injury time, but the defeat at Crystal Palace wasn't a massive shock to me. And I'll be honest, I'm fearing Sunday.
Wowzers.
I'm fearing Sunday because the problem is we've got no creativity. That I said to you when he picked the team, he was at my house to pick the team. Where's the creativity coming from? And it proved, didn't it? Harry Kane didn't have one touch in the opposition spot for the first time ever in a Premier League game.
Yeah, wowzers. So looking good for the weekend. Let's see if our predictions are correct and Chelsea go and pump Spurs. Interesting, and I know there's a lot of criticism around what we're about to talk about now. And there's a lot of suspicious eyes looking at this. But England's final Test match cancelled. India win the Test series.
Well,
and IPL starts.
Yeah, so I think not officially won it. They're trying to work out when they can play that fifth Test, but they're not happening, is it? Let's be honest. All I'm going to say is this to begin with, and I'll pose the question that some of those Indian players were in Dubai Friday afternoon as we were enjoying ourselves at.
Oh, you saw them on brunch?
There they were next door. No, they were in Dubai. So it absolutely stinks, I think. Look, don't get me wrong, England left the South African tour early in the year. Similar circumstances in terms of there's a breakout of COVID within the camp, and so for the health of everybody else, they decided to leave the tour. So left South African cricket in the lurch to a degree. I understand that. No fans at that point, so they've not lost ticket sales but TV revenue. I understand that. But let's face it, that was 7-8 months ago, almost right in the heart of the pandemic.
Yeah.
India have done this to England when, we're not over the pandemic, we know that, but fans are all in. The previous Test match, Ravi Shastri, the coach, and two of the staff tested positive during the Test match. They just isolated, nothing happened. The players tested, they were all fine, carried on. They then took the train from London to Manchester in preparation for the fifth and final Test. So they weren't that worried then, were they? And then all of a sudden, another backroom staff, in inverted commas, gets it, and that's all of it. All of a sudden, we're all really concerned with their family and friends and everybody else that's with them, and we can't possibly play the game of cricket. That's it. And I believe that the discussions went on all night, and the final decision was only 90 minutes before the toss.
So you think it smells a bit fishy?
Well, the fact of the matter is that for some reason, and I don't know about this, that when they've come from England to Dubai, they've been having to isolate for 5 or 6 days. Now that's not a Dubai or UAE, so I'm assuming that's what the IPL have put in place, which is, I understand that.
Yeah.
But you think, so I'm going on Sunday, the 19th, CSK Mumbai Indians, biggest game.
Are you going to ask somebody?
Well, if I can get a chance, I'm in. But the test match started last Friday. If it goes the full 5 days, which the test matches have been doing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they haven't got time, the Mumbai Indians and CSK players, to isolate and then play. And obviously the others have got to train and stuff like that. So I think it absolutely stinks. I think that England should have been awarded the test match. They should have been forfeited it. Not because of 2-2 and test match points, just the principle of it. And I think it just shows again that actually the BCCI have very little respect for any other cricket playing nation or cricket fan.
Okay, so what was it I heard a rumour? They're not called the
It's BCCI.
BCCI, they're actually called the Indian Cricket Board.
The Indian Cricket Board, the World Cricket Board, yeah, they reckon that
they're on the show.
But yeah, we'll see. But no, it's really disappointing. And I think that's typical Kohli. Clearly, well, it just be his decision, obviously, but he'll be loving the fact that he's got out there. He'll be able to say in a few years' time, I'm pretty sure, we won 2-1 in England, I'm the greatest captain, blah, blah, blah. So I think it stinks and there should be a thing. But it won't happen, it'll get pushed under the carpet. They'll either play a test match next summer somewhere in the calendar, or they'll come up with some weird and wonderful combination.
See, they're only friendlies anyway, so why do you bother? Just keep
who cares,
yeah, just crack on.
Who cares?
He's on the verge of going here. Right, okay. Good news though. Good news.
Yes.
Emma, right, we've been trying to pronounce this. I'm going to say Raducanu.
Raducanu, I think, isn't it?
C-A-N-U. Raducanu.
Emma
Raducanu. Made history last week. First, well, the fact that, and this made, I thought was quite interesting. Both finalists, obviously, both from Canada, even though the Brits are jumping all over the back of the
But she moved to England when she was 2.
Makes no difference.
You think she's Canadian?
So if you were born English and you moved to another country, what nationality are you?
If I was born, sorry?
If you were born in England and at the age of 2 you moved to another country, what nationality are you?
Well, I'm English. Unless I could play Test cricket for Bangladesh, then I'm Bangladeshi.
But you would choose another country over your own country?
To play Test match cricket.
Because her family's all Canadian. Anyway, it's dead interesting is that they're both Canadians in the final.
Yeah.
No one was British, in inverted commas. And yeah, they won. So Emma was ranked 130.
Oh yeah, 130.
And the other girl in the final against her, I think, what's that? Fernandez.
Yeah, Fernandez. Yeah,
Fernandez. She was ranked 73rd.
Yeah.
So odds on
teenagers.
Odds on them two making it would have been absolutely phenomenal. I think the biggest thing of it all is Emma's obviously come through the qualifiers because of her rank, and won the qualifiers, then gone into competition, won all the games, and not dropped one set.
Unbelievable.
That is phenomenal. Just even if she'd lost the final, to get to the final and not have dropped a set.
But different. How is it that we're sat here talking about a British girl or England football team, England cricket team? Well, I think we're so used in our lifetime for people to be coming second and being celebrated for.
Yeah.
So in my lifetime, we've won the Rugby World Cup. Murray's obviously won a few Grand Slams, England cricket, but then something like this from nowhere, you kind of expect her not to win it and just go. But and rightly so, she still would have been lauded, but to win it, and do you see her sing on to Sweet Caroline? And
I believe Timmy Hammond rocked up for the final.
Yeah, he did in the interview there. I was talking about her outfit and her nationality. So her outfit, if you've ever seen it, the yellow visor, the red vest top, and the
navy blue
is all a touch to her heritage, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So the yellow, I think she's got a Romanian mum.
Okay.
The red is Chinese to her dad, and then the blue and the red skirt is the UK-Canada thing. And she says she's not changing it, but that's going to be her outfit of choice. But surely she wins sports personality here, didn't she?
Probably not. Jack Grealish. For not playing.
Yeah.
It's so rigged. But then...
But that's what I'm saying, I read that. If she don't win, it's got to be rigged.
Yeah. But yeah,
But what an
interesting.
achievement, yeah. And only a few weeks ago doing her A-levels.
Yeah, and I think her earnings before that was $200 and something thousand, and then she picked up $2 million.
$2.5 million. Was it pounds or dollars?
Dollars, yeah. So phenomenal.
Great achievement.
What an achievement.
And she
what
does,
a life changer.
Yeah, absolutely right. And also, I don't know, I mean, she ended up at the Met Gala, didn't she, in some weird and wacky outfit, as they all do, but it doesn't seem to have phased her. And now, what happens next when, she becomes a bit of a household name when she goes into tournaments? That's the next step on her journey, isn't it? I mean, you'd never, like you were saying, I don't think you'd ever expect an individual, it's a bit like the golf, isn't it? There's so many really good players at the same kind of level, you can never expect any of them to go win. Look how difficult McIlroy's found over the last 3 or 4 years, but it'll be interesting to see if she's going to be...
Yeah,
she can back up. Yeah. But unbelievable and really, really pleased so far.
Right, so we'll move on to this talking point because it'll be interesting because Jack's obviously wanted to raise this and your question is how good is Sancho? So I'm guessing that question's aimed at me, so I'm going to return an answer. He's obviously an England international footballer that has lit up England games in the past.
Has he?
Has he not? I was there when he destroyed Czech Republic and we beat them 5-1 and Sancho was unbelievable that day. It was actually my first England international game.
Was it?
Yeah. Sterling got a few.
I didn't think you liked internationals.
I did. It was just that I wanted to go to New Wembley. You've got an international footballer that has competed at that level, competed in the top division of Germany, has been loaded with lots of praise and so forth. Hasn't started life at United really well, and even in the European Championships, that one game he did play for England, he was class, and then found himself back on the bench the week after. So against Ukraine, he played really well in that game. So how good is he? I think we've not seen it in Premiership yet, but I think we will see it, and I think he'll be he's definitely a top 4 player.
I'm not saying there's no potential, but I still don't think he's the player that people think he is. Take your point, there were 2 decent games. I can't remember the Czech Republic game. Did okay against Ukraine, I thought. Germany, how good is the German league? That's what I've always said about the Spanish league. How good actually is the German league? Why did Pep Guardiola get rid of him?
Right,
if he was that good?
So if you're asking me that question, can I just throw something at you? So you just said how good is the German league? Before we came on air, what were you saying to me about Jude Bellingham?
Oh yeah,
so Jude Bellingham was about 10 minutes ago was absolute class.
No,
but now they're playing a rubbish league. Is he still class?
No, yeah, he is. No, but I'm going to make that point. Actually, is the fact I'm not quite. Why would let's do with Jack Sancho first? Why would Pep get rid of him? And I know we've seen other managers get rid of De Bruyne, Salah, I think Mourinho, but why would Pep get rid of him when Pep's meant to be this great, play football the right way?
Look how many people is behind in the pecking order.
But if he was that good, surely Foden rose to the top.
Yeah, well, you had at the time when he was coming through, you had Sterling on fire, Mahrez, Silva, Bernardo Silva. You had 4 top of the game players.
Don't disagree. I just wouldn't, and certainly, and it is early days, so maybe I'm a bit harsh, but it is early days, man. It's shown nothing for me. And the reason I brought it up, because I did watch the first half, as I said earlier, and he was dog dirt. He couldn't trap anything, he couldn't pass wind.
How old does that sound? Nobody used the word trap, you mean control.
No, trap.
Trap the ball,
trap it. Couldn't do anything with it. And I just thought, do you know what? Man United had chased him for 2 years for that amount of money, and I just don't see it in it. And look, I hope I'm wrong because he's an English player and stuff like that. And on Bellingham, same point. I actually think he looks decent, really a proper midfield player. But I think if Southgate's going to take the plunge with him, play him as one of those midfielders, which I'd love him to do, because I don't think we need to play 2 holding midfield players all the time. I'd love to see him back in the Premiership. But fair play to both of them. That I think they obviously want to play football, so they've gone elsewhere to get it. And that's probably more of indicative of the English game or the English top clubs than anything else, probably. But I just don't see what other people rave about it at the moment.
Okay, so if you agree or disagree with Jack's point, just give us a shout. Pop us a comment on Twitter, social media, or even YouTube. let us know that Jack's actually talking out of his.
Tell me how to stick to cricket.
Yeah. Let's go back to cricket. Actually, you probably don't need to start doing standard deviation. We'll move on.
The average. You know what the average is?
Yes. Right.
Average.
Okay. Before we move on to Larkin's little bit of genius.
Yeah, I'm not listening to it.
I haven't listened to it either, but we'll have a quick look at fantasy football. The winner this week, of course, was Matt Aldred, who did let me know within minutes of the last game. I think he literally just checked everybody else, but still he's nowhere near the top.
He's gone all in, hasn't he, early doors as well.
Yeah, he's used his wild card and his triple captain. He used his triple captain on the weekend. He picked Fernandez. So Matt finished with 84 points. Nuno's number 2 is now top of the league, is on 82. Noah Bateman, 82 points this week. And if we don't look too far away, I think we'll find Booth was doing alright there. And then overall,
I'm down, mate. You're 12.
I'm
doing with a share here.
I'm only 33 points behind top.
You're going alright.
So I tell you what did make me laugh is I was checking it the other week and it came across and the Luffmans. All I'm going to say is there must be strong people, the Luffmans, because bottom was Shrek and you were second to bottom. But you're not at the moment. You've moved up slightly. Henry is having about as good a season as Arsenal is currently bottom. Shrek is second from bottom.
I can hear Shrek saying, I can't use this system.
Yeah, 101. I'm
not much better.
And you have moved up, you're 97th now.
Oh.
So
I'm climbing the table a bit.
A bit, yeah.
I'm only.
It's even worse is that Harry is ahead of you with Game of Stones.
I'm only 140 points off the lead.
Oh, is that it? Yeah.
That's not all right.
Just in case I do next week.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, so, right, we will let Larkins do his bit.
Let him loose.
Yes, boys, it is old Larko back here, bringing you the latest in FPL news. So, it's been a busy few weeks for me. And a difficult few weeks as well. As those of you who've been following the Jam season, well, all fans would know. When I look in the mirror, I don't see a Tony Pulis type figure anymore. I see a Mikel Arteta. I see an Arsenal supporter, rock bottom, losing, picking up no points week after week, to the point where at the start of the season, well publicised, the split of my feelings. She left the team. We're still married in that, but she's left the team and started her own split team. Having just pressed the wild card button at the start of the season, she is still, and has not changed her team, she is still 45 points in front of me. Some say she was a real brains behind operation, but I've got to disagree. But what about this season? What are we doing to get ourselves back on track after disastrous starts, or what are we doing to make sure that we are keeping our noses in front of the crowd? So lads, as you're aware, and I'm sure you're all aware, it's all about your big three. Who are your big three? So for me, it's Fernandez, it's Salah, and it's the boy Cristiano up front. For others, it might be Salah, Lukaku, and Ronaldo, but we're looking at some combination of those three. That's what we're looking at, okay? What I'm down at the minute is there enough scraps to feed both Bruno and Cristiano? We don't know. The naysayers will say Ollie hasn't got the meat and veg to feed them both, but I think there's plenty of room on the table for both to eat. So those are my three lads, alright? The question is, okay, those of you that 40, 50, 60 points behind at this point, what are the pieces you put around your big three, okay, to bring in the jam? And do you know what? That's key. So for me, Shaw and his nephew, Demarius Gray, I think that's his name for Everton, absolute jam, proving his worth. And also I've got the lads Aileen from Leeds, Duffy from Brighton, Alan or Elaine, depending on what part of the Mersey you're from Everton, and the big wang for Watford, I think it is, up front. So those are my extra pieces. I don't know whether they're going to bring me in the jam, lads. Okay, I'm sort of shooting in the wind. I feel like Mikel, as I've said, been lost at the minute, in danger of my job, holding on to the dressing room. But yeah, like I said, get your big three in, get your pieces around that, and then you've got to consider if you've got Bruno Ronaldo, two alphas, just like you, Stu and Jack. I don't know if there's enough food in the table for both to eat, but let's keep our fingers that jam.
So interesting that half the players he mentioned are even in his team.
He must have made some transfers, you think?
Possibly. But
It's interesting.
yeah. So my question is, if he's Mikel Arteta and he's having a bad season, what are you?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I've been sacked, haven't I?
Yeah, you're.
I'm off to Roma.
First casualty of the season. Anyway, Jack.
What do we know?